Namaste, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their awakening process. And today I'm going to do another video where I share 5 things that I think you should know about the October Ascension energies here in 2017. It's pretty exciting stuff going on. I'll get into it right now. Number 1 is what I will call another ego death. Another layer of the egoic structure is being transcended. This can be experienced in a very, there's like 2 sides to the coin here. Sometimes you might find that you feel like you're being taken over by your neurotic and insecure inner child. Like you're just like muddled and obscured with this like fearful cloud as you see and you observe your life, and it can make everything seem a lot worse than it really is. At the same time, beyond this, what you'll start to do is, for one, get sick of living life from that perspective, which we've just been conditioned to do. You'll start to naturally lift out of it, and as you do, you'll attract into your life insights and maybe just resources or a book or something someone says. You'll start to get the clues that will illuminate the situation for you, and you can kind of expand out of it, thereby transcending that layer of your ego, which was bound to trip you up and mess you up throughout life in some way, shape, or form. The ego is always sabotaging us, keeping us off our path, disconnected. And even though it's unpleasant to have that feeling of being taken over, as I mentioned, whenever that happens, when you really feel like, wow, I've lost it. I've lost my spirituality. I've lost my connection. Well, what's going on? That means you're very close to transcending a big layer and having a reconnection that's better than ever. So if you're feeling that way, which I was maybe a week ago for a period of a few days, hang in there. Just ride it out. Just try to stay cool, chill out, and you'll find again that you're going to lift right out of it and be like, oh wow, how nice is it to be free of that. Number 2 is you might find it beneficial to ask for help, to not try to manage everything, your life, all on your own. We can't do it alone. We're not meant to be alone. We're part of a big whole. We're like a wave in that massive ocean, and yet the wave is, we're always acting independently, trying to just be our own wave and not relying on this vast ocean of resources that are part of us to help us. What I mean by that in a more practical sense, I'll give you an example of my life. So I have trouble sometimes being focused and productive. It's something I talk about because I've worked on a lot, but I still have my relapses to an extent. So what I started doing is incorporating my wife. She kind of oversees my business stuff in a sense, because she can look at it very objectively and be like, dude, you're scattered here. Get it organized. You're doing too many things at once. Just focus on this, and then come back to me. And it makes me, in a sense, you might feel like a child, I guess, having someone oversee you or help you with something, but there are things I help her with where she struggles, but are very obvious to me that I can just see her situation very clearly, really effortlessly, and chime in with some wisdom that's beneficial to her. And you might find that situation playing out in your own life, where you'll find that you might have the urge, or you just happen to have someone in your life that can help you, that can see your situation with clarity in areas of your life that you are just distorted, which we all have. So I think it's a time of really just banding together and utilizing the resources of us, of other people that have always been there. Number 3, you might find that you have a sense of urgency to change a situation, but feel totally stuck. And I found that this has multiple purposes. One of them is to remind you that you're, maybe in the process of transcending out of a situation that is no longer a match for your ascending vibrational frequency. And you're just going to have that dissonance, the manifestation of that discord, the energetic discord. It's going to be there. It won't go away. It's just kind of the energy of it all, and that will help you not be complacent and make that move, which is going to help you. But because things take time, oftentimes we get bombarded with like influx of insight and foresight, like, wow, this situation is so unideal, and I can see where I'm manifesting all these complications and because of like the resistance or whatever, but in a practical sense, it's just not feasible for you to move on beyond that. So I found that these negative manifestations, due to it being a mismatch, a lot of times have to do with our impatience that we're trying to move beyond. We're living in a time where we're going to transcend the need to be patient. Patience implies struggle, trying, a need to be in the moment because we're not in the moment, but that we're merging into the moment. In the moment, we can recognize these life cycles kind of playing out, comings and goings of life situations, and not be in a state of being of stress in our body. So it can be very helpful to recognize that a situation might need to change. It's not bad to want it to. You probably won't be able to help that. At the same time, balance that with trying to be more in the moment and more accepting and more grateful and kind of re-embracing life. We can really get lost at the surface of things and always wanting to get somewhere and move on and enlighten ourselves and manifest abundance and soulmates, and that's all fine. You will. It's good stuff, but that can be taken to the extreme, which will distort and mess up our present moment and cause us to be always longing in that habit of wanting to be elsewhere than we actually are presently. Sometimes the energy has a tone of like, you got to move on. It's time to transition. It's time to make these big changes. And we get kind of caught up in that. But then there's a time to kind of re-embrace life, to like go back to the mundane, just doing dishes mindfully. I'll go out there and I'll sweep outside, just appreciate being outside, appreciate the sunshine, appreciate the waves, appreciate the weather, appreciate the fact that you have, clothes to keep you warm and a blanket to sleep under at night. Little things like that can, if you start to be mindful of them, can really transform your state of being, which will have a huge impact on your circumstances in your life. And again, you can recognize that it's time to move on in some way, but you can also be very happy right now and not need to have moved on to be happy. Number 4, I think more of a natural unity consciousness is starting to kind of infiltrate the collective bubble, you could say. So many of our problems and our character issues and shortcomings are due to living life from the perspective as being separate. And it's one thing to say we are all one thing, but it's something we're all but we're all transitioning into actually experiencing. It's one thing to say and to understand and even to believe. It's a whole other ballgame when you feel as part of the whole. And that's going to start happening more and more. And as it does, and it can also be a choice. It can be a choice to dig into that kind of potential spaciousness within your reality. You'll find that a lot of the stress in your life will diminish significantly when you live to serve the whole, which is also you. I'll give an example. For me, it's sort of a challenge to not get wrapped up in an ego personality that is sort of being constructed here on YouTube. You guys see Victor, this character, this spiritual guy. People tell me things. You're great. You suck. And it's been a challenge for me for a while to not identify with this character that is sort of being created online here. And in the beginning, it was like, man, I can't really handle this. But what's happening is that I'm able now to pull back more and just kind of ignore that and just focus on how can I help. I'm going to make a video today. It doesn't have to be awesome. Maybe I'll slip up my words. Maybe somebody will give it a thumbs down. Maybe some people will think it's the greatest thing they've ever heard. Regardless, I'm going to focus on helping the whole. How can I do my part to be a messenger for Victor's truth in a way that's going to benefit people. And that right there, it takes a lot of the stress out. You might find that sort of metaphorically in your own life, that if you just focus on not how bad do I hate my job, but how can I be a good person today? How can I help my neighbor, my friend, my partner, my children? And that just feels good. It feels, there's a sense of being at home when you have that perspective. And I think it's going to start happening naturally for a lot of people, but it's also something you can really optimize by choosing to remind yourself that that's a potential way to go through life from. And lastly, I mentioned this recently and it's just getting more obvious, it's a time for contact. We're building towards contact with ETs, with our spirit guides, with our deceased loved ones. The veil is so thin now that it's going to be a lot more commonplace for those kinds of experiences to happen. A lot of times, to get to that point though, we attract certain situations, certain information, documentaries, YouTube videos, circumstances into our life that will help us overcome whatever inner blockages we have to being able to experience those kinds of things in a more deeper and real way. For a while, I would say that it's not like important, it's not essential for people to have this, but I think it's just going to be happening to a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys watching videos of this nature, not just me, but videos of this type of energy, talking about these kinds of things. You're going to really start opening yourself up to a lot of things that you might have thought were impossible or invisible or just not in existence. I think there's going to be a new normal setting in. Anyways, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it helped you in some way. I hope you have an amazing kick-ass day. I will see you very soon. Thank you for all the love and the support and the kindness and just the gratitude that you express to me on a daily basis. It warms my heart. It really does help me, and it's just a beautiful thing. So thank you again. See you guys next time. Peace.